jump here, swing there, climb this, you know what I mean? And then once you see there's like actual formalization, it's like, wow, I finally found the thing. This is the thing that I'm supposed to be doing. And I hopped right in and I have not stopped.
What's up, guys? Today's guest is a founder of Sqvadron and a co-owner of Strike Movement who just released his 18-minute parkour short, Trials Morales. Please welcome to the JAMCast, Mr. Darryl Stingley. What's up, man?
What's up?
Dude, good to catch up with you, man. It's been so many years since I've seen you, since you made the move back up to NorCal.
Yeah, maybe 7 or so years that it's been that like I haven't actually seen you.
I know. I think it dates back to when you were still coaching at Tempest. That's how long it's been.
Yeah, you were like big time, so I wasn't seeing you all that much anymore. When I first moved out in 2012, I was like seeing you more often, and then like as the years went on, you were just getting more and more busy, so I wasn't catching you as much. I caught you like maybe once or twice at Jam.
Yeah, I think during that time period you're speaking about too was like when I really started getting work like out of the state. And it's funny, like Ben Jenkins used to always come visit me, and every time he would make a trip here, I would get flown out to like New Orleans and he would just be at my house alone for months.
Yeah, that's where I got like most of my training sessions with Jenks, was like because he was out here and you weren't here, so he was just like going in and out of everywhere, in and out of Tempest and stuff. So like that's like the majority of my training sessions happened with Jenks, literally because of that, because you weren't here to preoccupy him with stuff.
That's amazing, man. So it worked out all around.
Yeah, got a couple good sessions in.
Oh, that's so cool, man. And now, there's so many things that I want to talk to you about, obviously, with the recent release of your project, which is absolutely incredible for anyone who hasn't had the opportunity to check it out. But before we talk about all that, I think we need to like take a step back and kind of lay a foundation of how you got into this sport. So I know that I've seen through other interviews and podcasts and reading stuff that you started when you were 12 years old, somewhat inspired by the posters behind you. But maybe you could just explain to us at length, like how long you've been actually doing parkour for and what got you into it.
I've been doing parkour now for 16 years. I actually just hit my 16-year anniversary January 9th of this year. So that was pretty big for me. Yeah, I mean, like, I was just a little kid, like just super interested in all like comic books and cartoons and like martial arts movies, everything, like, Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, all those guys. Huge Batman, Black Panther fan, Spider-Man fan, all that stuff. And I happened to see the like early 2003, I think, documentary Jump London with Sebastian Foucault and the Vigro brothers and what is it, Jerome Ben Aras? I don't know French that well, but like I know Jerome B. That's the boy. Yeah, I happened to see that in 2005, and then later on, Jump Britain came out, which was the sequel to that, and I got to see both of those in the same year. So I got to see one like that was kind of old. I think it was a pre-feature before they actually featured Jump Britain. So I'm pretty certain that I got to see them like back to back because Jump Britain was coming out. So they were like, let's play the first one and then the sequel. And that's basically the thing that made me realize that like all of this that's behind me could like be a real thing for me, to actually like do in real life. I'd been trying forever to do something like it, but had no idea, like, there was no formalization that I knew of. It's just jump here, swing there, climb this, you know what I mean? And then once you see there's like actual formalization, it's like, wow, I finally found the thing. This is the thing that I'm supposed to be doing. And I hopped right in and I have not stopped.
Man, that is wild. And what's really crazy that I'm going to bring up is that I've done like, over 100 episodes of these, and people are able to somewhat pinpoint when they started, but you had a very specific date, January 9th. And what is the significance of that specific date?
Well, my best friend, when I moved like out of Pittsburg, California, like when my mom got married, we moved to a suburb called Brentwood, like super nice suburb. And I met a friend there named Josh, And like one of the things that made us click is his birthday is exactly 1 month before my birthday. And I saw Jump London, Jump Britain, and went to his house for his birthday, which is January 9th. And I was like, dude, like I saw this thing. This is the stuff that like, you know, you have seen me try to do for forever. And like, you know, I want to go out and like try it. We were going over to the park that was down the street from his house anyway. So I was like, yeah, I want to just like go out and just try to do all this stuff. And he was cool with it. Probably because I got him a nice birthday gift. So he was down. And then we went down the street to the park, and I was trying to like Kong over the like, you know, those like plastic seat benches, yes, like that are like usually made out of like recycled milk cartons or something like that is what they say. That was the first thing I tried to Kong over. So I basically tried to do a Kong over like a rail as my first like parkour move. That was like the first thing I tried.
Dude, that's wild. And my question is did Josh ever try parkour, or did he ever get into it with you, or is this like a solo journey ever since that day at his house?
Josh was particularly timid at most athletic ventures. So like, you know, you can kind of tell what kind of person Josh was based on the posters behind me, like the things that we gravitated to. So he was more on I'm in the game chair doing my thing, you know, I'll do it virtually. That was his way. And I was like, nah, dude, I'm from the hood, bro. We do this. We see it. We do it. That's how it works. Yeah, I mean, Josh was always there to like film and stuff. He was real cool about that. So like he was there for a lot of the journey, but he didn't partake much.
Okay. And now
maybe try here too.
And in those early days of your like, you know, foundation of your own parkour career and your movement, were you just going out in solo training? Because obviously this is so far back that this predates a lot of the parkour schools that are in existence today. So how did you really like formulate the groundworks for the way that you move now?
Well, you know, like there was SFPK at the time. Like SFPK was out. But like, you know, if anybody that hasn't been to the Bay Area, like doesn't completely understand how large the Bay Area is, like Bay Area and LA are huge places. So you think like, oh, this is in LA, so you can go there, or this is in the Bay Area, so you can just easily go there. It's like as a 12-year-old kid getting from Pittsburg, California, like, you know, 30 some odd miles out to San Francisco to meet up with SFPK. Was a challenge, you know. So if my dad wasn't taking me, I was too young to take the BART, which is the transit system here, by myself. So I didn't actually end up meeting the SFPK guys until I think 2007 or 8 maybe. So I was really just going around Pittsburgh and Antioch and Brentwood and like Concord area, which is like Contra Costa County, the county that I'm from. And I was just, you know, YouTube videos, go outside, do what's in the YouTube videos. And that was kind of the only way that I like, you know, began to learn. And like, my inspirations were things that often didn't exist, you know, in like the physical world. So like Ninja Turtles, you know, like the Nickelodeon Ninja Turtles show was huge for me. And like the video games that they had were also, like the GameCube game was huge for me. So I was like, what did Michelangelo do in the GameCube game that I can go out and do like right now? You know, and like reading comics and stuff and seeing things on like the panels, you know, trying to imitate that stuff along with, you know, YouTube videos and things like that, like learning through that. And it wasn't actually until 2007, which is when I started going to this gymnastics place called 4-Star Gymnastics Academy, okay, that I began to like get some sort of like understanding of some aspect of the sport, mainly the acrobatic aspect, because I went there in order to do like an open gym, because my dad was an elite gymnast. So my dad was like, I can teach you how to do, you know, all different sorts of acrobatics. And I was like, okay, sick. So that's what we went there for. The owner introduced me to a coach there who was supposedly going to be starting a parkour program. But he didn't know how to do parkour. So when they told me about it, I was like, I should be teaching that. And they're like, do you really know how to do parkour? And I was like, yes, I do know how to do parkour. And they're like, can you teach our instructor? I was too young to have a job. I was 14. So I basically, like, with working with him, with teaching him parkour, he would, like, begin to help me understand a lot of the acrobatic stuff. So, like, that was a lot of how I started to figure out the movement and integration of acrobatics into, like, parkour, you know. And then iFreerun LA came out that same year. And that was huge for me. That was so huge. When that came out, it was just like, now I have so much source material to just go out and use to, like, learn. Before that, it was all like the French and English guys that I was watching on YouTube. So when iFreerun LA came out, and I had just gotten to that gymnastics gym, and was working with the tumbling coach that was also trying to coach parkour, I mean, I was getting so much, like, cross-pollination of information that began to you know, get me some understanding of the sport. And then the rest from there was history, I guess, you know, just self-teaching, using the same method over and over and over again. It's the same method I use today.
It's interesting to hear that you come from a family from, like, an elite gymnast. I had no idea, which is super cool to have that background. And now obviously you do integrate flips into some of your lines, and we see it in your videos and stuff. But me personally, I think one of the things that I love about your movement, and it's one of the top comments even on Trials Morales right now, is that a lot of people see your style as very, like, almost representative of the old school Yamakasi style, where you're just moving very aggressively and insanely fast through an environment, really, like, displaying going from, like, point A to point B as truly as possible. Has that always been a focus of your movement, or did you, like, go in waves where you focus more on flipping and then got back more into the PK and stuff?
There was a point in time, where I started to experiment outside of, like, the route of parkour for me. Like, I mean, the Yamakasi, that was essentially my introduction. Sebastian Foucan was my introduction, and of course I just looked at everything that he had done, prior to that point and after that point. So I had seen all of the Yamaks. I had seen, like, David Bell and Malik and those guys, like, out, like, working, just doing their thing, and that was my specific specific goal, was to, like, completely embody the philosophy. But Sebastian Foucan, who is, even to this day, one of my biggest inspirations, big hero, he made it, like, make parkour your own thing, like, that's what, like, free running parkour, that's what it is. You know what I mean? They're the same thing. They're not different. They're just, like, it's just the thing that Sebastian Foucan did that I appreciated so much was he was like, his quote was "follow your way." So finding your own way in the sport was or just with the art in general, was the thing to try to do. So I would probably say in 2009, I think it was, that I really started to branch out and pursue more of, like, the freestyle aspect. So I would probably say from 2009 through maybe 2012 or 2013-ish. Probably 2009 through 2012, I was really, really pushing my acrobatic journey. I was just trying to learn as many of, like, the tricks as I could. So if you look at my video history at that time, you're gonna see a lot of acrobatics, and it was from about 2013 that I began to start really, like, honing in on what the idea of my style was. And I'd probably say up until 2015 when I started Sqvadron, is when I was, like, really starting to understand where I wanted to go personally. And that's when I would probably say that the acrobatic aspect and, like, more of the foundational aspect began to, like, merge. And I would say the first project that I made where I had really come together with I know what my style is, or at least what I want it to be, or what I want it to look like exactly, was Kid Wave Volume 1, which I think was in 2016, maybe 2015. But yeah, so like that, I had the waves as such with my personality, and I made my way to like a real like blend of the two, but in a way that I feel is a little more to the point. I don't like doing anything slow, or like stopping much in my movement, which is why nowadays you'd probably see a lot less acrobatics from me, because I want to keep it like I want it to look like I'm really trying to complete something, like there's like a need to do something. So that was that's about where I'm at, and that's the pathway I think I went to get there.
That's really cool. And I totally understand what you're saying. And that's one of the things I love about your movement. It is so efficient and it's so raw, and it just actually really embodies, like, to me, like the actual element of running at full speed is something that I feel is far too overlooked in our sport. I feel like we never really get to see people actually fully open up at a full speed, except maybe to run and do one single precision, let alone like being able to link things seamlessly throughout your movement is one of the things that makes me constantly watch your clips over and over again. So much respect.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it is an intention.
Yeah, and along the lines of that timeline that you kind of laid out of the waves that you went through, it almost kind of parallels the timeline that you're out here in LA and then going back to the Bay when you rediscover your style and stuff like that. So can you maybe like speak on that, on what brought you out to Southern California, and what made you have the decision to go back home to your hometown?
Well, I had met Tempest like really early in my practice. I'm pretty sure, I'm trying to remember the exact date, but it was I think it was like 2009 that I met Tempest. And when I went out there, I met Levi, I met Lucy, and I met Ryan Houchin. And I actually think, I could be wrong, I think Dan Mast might have been there too. I like went back pretty quickly after that. And then there was like this big jam that happened. But it was the following year, which I'm pretty sure was 2010, that I went out there and I met Gabe. So like, if I'm not mistaken, Gabe Nunez is the current CEO of Tempest Freerunning. But back then, he was one of the originators, one of the original four. And when I met him, Gabe told me a whole bunch of stuff that essentially like got me inspired to try to like, join what they were doing at Tempest. So much to the point that my dad and I were talking about moving to LA. Cause the way that the careers were in parkour back then was just mainly like movie work, stunt work, stuff like that. And like there was room for me essentially to like begin that kind of journey. But I wanted to like stay with my friends, finish high school, and then move out there. And the last year that I was in school, Tempest opened the Tempest Freerunning Academy, and Gabe sent me a message and was like, yo, I don't know what's going on with you in school right now, but like we're opening the gym, and if you want to come out and coach, that's like an option. And for you to kind of come out and get started working with us. So essentially I just took him up on that offer, and I moved out to LA. And this is kind of when people will begin to understand just how big like places like LA and the Bay Area are. I moved out to LA and I lived in Pasadena, and Tempest Valley is in Northridge.
45 minutes.
Yeah, it's so far away, and I didn't have a car. So I had already put my resume in and everything like a month or two before I had even gotten to Pasadena. And like, when I got there, it was a little bit of time after before I got like a legitimate interview. Once I got an interview, Heath, the manager at the time, was like, so you don't have a car, huh? And I was like, no, I don't. He's like, all right, well, I'm going to need to like wait until you have some more of a reliable source of transportation before I can like give you jobs here, like, because I need you to be reliable. And I was like, I'll be reliable. And Heath doesn't know me, so he doesn't know what I'm like willing to do. So I basically didn't have a job, but they told me I could come in and train and all that stuff. So I took it upon myself to just take every bus. I mean, my trip was like 3 hours. You know what I mean? Like, because I had to take buses and then like the little I forget what the LA Transit is called. But like I had to take that, like basically the little train subway system. And then another 2 buses, and then eventually I got to Tempest. So I did that like as often as possible. I mean, for like over a month before I actually had gotten my job there. And I worked my way up through the ranks of coaching, like in my first year becoming one of the head coaches. I mean, you know, through just kind of trying to pursue my position with Tempest as like the professional team, not just as an instructor. I came into contact with a lot of people, like a lot of different people in the community, and over time, you know, when you do something long enough and you feel like you're not getting the recognition that you feel you deserve, it just kind of leads you to, you know, there's only 2 ways you can go about it. You can either quit, right? Or you can, you know, pave your own path. And that's essentially what led me to Sqvadron. I didn't feel like I was getting what I wanted from Tempest, and I wasn't the only person that felt that way, but like I was the only person in my position, you know, that had been working with them so long. I mean, I had done work with the team. I competed for the team on numerous occasions, but I was never like a fully recognized member. So, you know, instead of just like, you know, essentially crying about it and just being upset about it, I made something with people that I was already working and training with on the regular. You know, my best friend Garrett Eves and one of our other homies, JT Hiltebrand, like we were the ones that started Sqvadron essentially. And like, you know, I think we were Sqvadron for about a year before I decided, okay, I'm not going to continue to like keep my value here at Tempest if I have no ownership of it. Like as much as I've brought to this space, if I can't see myself in a position of ownership, I don't want to work for somebody for the rest of my life. Like not with the talent that I have, not with the information that I possess and like the knowledge that I hold. So I mean, I talked to my team and I said, I don't want to stop doing Sqvadron, but I gotta get the fuck out of here. And they were cool. They were cool with it. And you know, that essentially the reason I came back to the Bay is because my family's here. So I wanted to go somewhere where I could continually work on my craft, but like have the opportunity to figure out where I wanted to go. And I was actually between Colorado and somewhere in Europe because I had friends in Europe that wanted like my coaching skill, and Apex in Colorado also like wanted me to come over and be a team member and an instructor. So like I had some options, but I wanted to come home first, and here in the Bay was Apex NorCal, and that. I had already met the owner of the gym, Alan, years before. So when he found out I was coming out here, he was like, "What can we do to get you out here and like get you to stay here?" And I laid out my plan for him, and he was like, "All right, cool, let's do it." And that's what brought me back to the Bay and allowed me to essentially like just pursue what I was trying to create with myself.
Okay. And now along the lines of that, I mean, that's like such a good segue into it is, if I'm not mistaken, the Sqvadron headquarters is what was formerly Apex NorCal. Are you like, what is the situation there? Like, have you guys fully taken that over, or is it like a partnership with them? What's the situation? Because we see it featured in all your videos, obviously. So it's just something I've always been curious about.
Well, at the time, it was that we were essentially like coming into so I'll like backtrack a little bit to give you an example of like what got me there, but I learned a lot from my situation with Tempest, and it was actually while I was out in LA that I started my relationship with Strike Movement. 2015, if I'm not mistaken, was it was late 2014 and then early 2015 is when I actually got to start with strike movement. And so I had expressed to Mark Morissette, who is the CEO and like the guy that started the company, what my intentions were, and I said exactly the same thing that I expressed about like my situation with Tempest. If there's no ownership here for me, then you're going to have me for a period of time, and then I'm going to move on to somewhere where I can get that, or I'm going to create that myself. And Mark was super, super receptive to that. That was the same thing that I expressed to Alan when I moved back out to the Bay Area, and decided to like join him at like Apex NorCal. And I did express like I don't want to be in Apex. You know what I mean? Like that's not my vision. My vision is like with what I'm trying to create with Sqvadron. So like, he was initially receptive to that as well. And over the years, as we were working together, I mean, I came in there and my specific role was to be an athlete. That was the only thing I was supposed to do. But you could call it OCD. I don't know what you would want to call it, but I don't like seeing things done poorly, especially not in my vicinity, and also especially not when something that has my name attached to it can give me like any level of bad representation. I don't want it to look like I'm not giving the opportunities or like giving my knowledge to people. And I'm a natural teacher. So like, there were numerous instances where I'm in there, I'm observing classes. I've been all over the world and observed like classes, like other people, how they're teaching and stuff like that. Most notably, probably my favorite place to watch their instruction is Origins Parkour in Vancouver. Yes. And, so like I have this experience. I'm training. I have 24-hour access to the space, so I can go in there and train during classes. I can go in there and train during off hours. I can go in there and train during any level of open gym. Obviously, during kids' open gym, you got to be careful because the rascals be running. You know what I'm saying? But I'm in there and I'm watching things, and I'm just seeing, like issue after issue after issue. Just like, this is being taught, and like the pointing of toes. That's like the thing you just don't do. You just, I don't know how many instances in which you point your toes in parkour and it actually is helpful. Usually that's what makes you like die, So I'm seeing that. I'm seeing like landing with super elevated heels, and I'm just like, what are you guys doing? So I just started telling Alan and telling like the head coach there at the time. I was like, look, you guys are doing a lot of stuff, and I think that the community thinks that it's good here, but I'm telling you it's not. Like you're setting people up not only for like failure where they can get injured, but you're giving them like a false expectation of what they could become with these techniques. They're not going to get there, not this way. And I've seen it enough times to know that it's not going to work out that way. So I just started like, giving corrections. I started teaching workshops to the coaches. And over time, I got integrated into the inner workings of the space. I ended up over the last few years, I ended up like rewriting the entire program. I was designing out the whole gym space. I mean, everything that was there before I got there was designed before I got there, but everything that was there after I got there was like specifically designed like by me. So I was doing so much that I was just like, look, if I'm going to keep making this place what it is, I don't want to keep doing it for Apex. I mean, it's making it look like Apex is doing all this great work, but Apex isn't doing anything. Like, I'm doing this work. This is Sqvadron work. You know what I mean? So, I had the conversations with Alan about that, and that is what led us to, like, changing the name. And this is actually where you're going to get some information that nobody else has, because I'm not... Yeah, I don't like to be dishonest or anything like that. I'll like 100% tell the truth when it's asked. Essentially, Alan, the owner, was at his wit's end with this space, and his intention was to leave. And I wasn't in a position where I wanted to take over the whole space by myself, but it's kind of one of those things where it's like, well, you can't let this go, because then what's going to happen to, like, this community that's here. So I like bucked up and was ready to take over. I ended up, like, one of my not demands, but like one of my terms for doing that was, I need my team here. Like, I'm not going to do this with the people that you brought in and expect for them to be able to, like, match what my output is. I need my team. So I needed, like, one of my other best friends, Armando Covarrubias, who is another athlete that's on Sqvadron. He's been here since the beginning, essentially. I was like, I need Armando out here. I need my girl Michelle, because she's like the best manager that I've worked with in the space. So I need, like, people that can actually help me run this, not just people who can work here and I can tell them do this, do that. I need people who can help me, like, do this job, because I still have to be an athletic presence. I still have to, like, work on, like, the programming and everything. I also have strike. I also have what we're doing with, like, the film aspect of Sqvadron. So, like, I need my people to, like, help me run this, people I know I can trust to do the job. And we agreed on that. Went out, got those guys. We worked our asses off for, like, a cool year. I mean, like, a cool straight year. And then the pandemic hit. And prior to the pandemic, like, maybe late December, I was getting to the point where I was like, I don't have enough of this, like, on paper in my name. You know what I mean? Like, I have Sqvadron on paper in my name. That is what is running the space, but it is not the specific corporation that owns the space. Technically, the specific corporation that still owned the space was Apex NorCal, but we were doing business as Sqvadron HQ. And this was me being trusting in the situation. I was trusting what my partner Alan was telling me at the time. Like, don't worry, like, we're gonna part and you're gonna take over. This is gonna be, like, your thing, essentially. Like, you're gonna get what you want here. And I was just being trusting of that, and continuing to allow my name, my legacy, my programming, and my staff, my team, like, basically run the space. And once the pandemic, like, did hit, it really, this pandemic is fucking terrible. It's a terrible, terrible thing that happened. And it's only been more terrible as long as we've been in it. But what it did do is it sure as hell showed the truest aspects of people. So, kind of understanding the immense differences, the immense moral differences between myself and Alan, my partner at the time. I was like, I can't in good conscience stay here, keep these doors open for people when, we know that this virus is, like, ravaging numerous communities. Like, I can't do that. I had a completely different direction that I thought we could go. I thought we could do a whole lot of, like, online work with our students. I thought that eventually we could do some, like, outdoor, properly distanced work with our students. And he wasn't interested in any of that. So that led to some pretty heated conversations between myself and him, and a couple more than just moral issues popped up. There were some issues of race that kind of popped up there, and at the very least, I could call it insensitivity. At the very most, I could call it a complete act of ignorance that pushed me to believing I don't want to be in business with this person anymore, nor do I want to be in business with anything that he has total control over, because that could just end up putting me in a bad position. So I actually stepped away from the gym, like, early last year. I completely bought Sqvadron, like the specific company Sqvadron, and, like, basically reincorporated with just myself and Garrett. And we've just been running ever since, like just focused on like the film work, the clothing, and our programming and our park initiatives, because we want to have some access for people that can't afford to go and spend $100 a month to go into a gym and train. So that's what we're working on right now. But I worked the gym all the way up to making it a Sqvadron gym, and then unfortunately some pretty intense moral disagreements led me to leave. I'm not going to stay anywhere just because the money's good or whatever. I'm not going to risk people's lives with my own energy. So I stepped away.
Man, I'm sorry to hear that. That's a super intense story, but it's something that I feel like I've heard from a lot of different people, not necessarily your exact situation, but obviously business getting interrupted just based on other factors. So it's unfortunate to hear that, but obviously I have seen your efforts that you kind of just talked about, which was creating like a pop-up park that I saw you do in Pittsburg, California. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw you guys threw it up, and after a couple hours, you actually got asked to take it down by the city, but it actually opened the doors for you guys to have a conversation with them about doing something.
Yeah. So I was born and raised here, man, and something big about Pittsburgh is there's a lot that I've learned over the last couple of years, and one of the things that I've really kind of had to just accept and take like a real hard look at is where I grew up, and what I grew up in. I mean, like, people have told me my whole life, like, you're from the hood, like you're from the ghetto, and I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm not. You know what I mean? But objectively, completely objectively, I am. I grew up around drug deals, like, and gang activity and all that shit. Like, that was in my neighborhood. It didn't end up like getting me killed. But like I grew up around it, it made its way into my family. It made its way into my home. So like, I know what kids out here come up around, and I also know what our community feels like, like it makes you feel like you don't want to be from this space. Like you don't want to be from this place. All of the successful people who are from the hoods are from Vallejo or Oakland, or Richmond or something like that, like people aren't from Pittsburgh. So it not only do you feel like, because of what you're raised around, that like, you feel like less than, but then you also don't look up to anybody that has done anything, outside of the norm, to become somewhat of like an icon to you. You know what I mean? So it's like, what the fuck do you do? And I came from here, and everything that I became, everything that I've accomplished, I've made on my own. So, like I came from right here, like any other kid could have. And fortunately I had a family who had the past of, of all of that activity and all of, unfortunately, but fortunately, my grandma went through segregation, Jim Crow, all that stuff. My dad went through that stuff, and they understood enough of the world to give me this platform to be able to build myself on. So I want to pay that right back to my neighborhood. So I went to one of the parks that I used to play baseball at as a kid. Same park, same people that would be out there doing drug deals and shooting up under the bridge. And I was like, there are kids that play over here. You know what I mean? Like, there's literally a kids park, not even 100 feet that direction. Let's make this something, for the neighborhood, for the people here. So, it was peak pandemic time. So people weren't even like out all that much. All the parks were closed. So I designed a full space. Garrett went with me and assisted me in building the space. He was like kind of mainly security and hands, because I ain't trying to have no cops roll up and come talk to me. They could talk to him. So yeah, we popped it up, and swear to you, on the last day, the last obstacle, we had this whole plan of like, okay, we're gonna finish this, we're gonna come back, we're going to shoot this whole thing. We're going to pitch it to the city, and tell them that this is what we've been working on with the neighborhood people, and so on and so forth. Man, the last thing I was drilling in and securing, and a city worker just pulls up, and he's like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And I was like, "Oh, we're building a park over here for the neighborhood." And he's like, and I was just like, "Please let that be the end of this." Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, please be cool. I had already talked to 2 city workers, and they were cool. They were super cool about what we were doing. And this guy was extra as hell. Like, he was like, "Would you guys have permission?" And I was like, "I mean, no, not formally, but we're not being invasive." Like, one of the main things I wanted to do with this park, which is actually one of the biggest fucking challenges, because I'm not used to doing non-invasive design. I'm used to like designing things to be, secured directly into the space. Like, if you have concrete, you drill into concrete. You know what I mean? Like, if you make a wood wall, you anchor the wall to something that's concrete if you can, right? So that's what I'm used to. I designed this whole space specifically to be non-invasive, so we didn't drill through anything. Everything that was connected was literally built around what was there, and I had to design securing fixtures that could go around like 1 foot by 1 foot concrete pillars. So like we did all that, and that's what I told the guy, and he's like, "Yeah, it doesn't matter, bro. You gotta have permission." And I was like, "All right, well, who do we need to call?" And he's like, don't even worry about it. I'll call. And what he meant by that was, "I'm gonna rat you guys out."
Yeah.
So he called one of the city managers. The guy came out and was actually super impressed with what we had made. But he was like, "Yeah, I mean, now that I've seen it, if I don't do something about it, then I'm gonna look like I'm not doing my job." So, he was cool enough to say, "We're not gonna just get this whole thing destroyed. Like, you guys put in all this work over the last month to do this. Like, we're not gonna kill it like that. So I'm gonna call my higher ups and talk to them." He called them. We got a call from the city attorney. I do not like her. She was like not understanding at all. And like super rude. And I was just telling her, I was like, "Look, it took us a month to get this thing up. We can't take it down right now. Like, it's about to be dark. Like, I know you know where we're at. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you're not going to expect us to just stay out here through the night and like take this stuff down. I mean, I'm not getting shot for nobody." So, she eventually just like let go of the situation, and I got a call from the head of like recreation and economic development here, and her name is Colette. She was super nice. She was super nice. She was completely understanding. She was trying to help. She was like, "I mean, what can I do to help you get this thing like taken down, like so that we don't destroy your stuff, and so that you can get it to somewhere like where you can still have access to it if there's some opportunity for you to rebuild and reuse the stuff somewhere else." And I told her, I was like, "We can do it ourselves. We can't do it, until Saturday," is what I told her. So that we could go on a Friday and shoot the video. Yes. See what I'm saying? So we shot the video. We went out early in the morning Friday, shot the video, and then Saturday borrowed my dad's truck, and we dismantled the whole space. And it's all the equipment is stored in my grandma's backyard right now. So, yeah. But that did get us an in with the city. So now we are in talks about like doing more integration spaces, like actually integrating more parkour obstacles like into new park builds and park renovations. And then actually one of my main focuses is trying to get that space, like get my original design, which is more invasive, to be built in that exact space. Cause I think it's just the most perfect space to have a parkour park. But like right now, all we're really focused on since finishing the film, because we took a little hiatus from the parks for a minute so we could finish the film. But since finishing the film, we're actually trying to use the film to get more integrated park spaces to be popped up all around the Bay Area.
That's awesome, man. Super cool to see that, just taking a chance on something like that is actually going to open more doors, hopefully, for the future.
Yeah, as long as we didn't get arrested, I was I was like, "Look, we're not being invasive. We're not actually vandalizing anything." So technically speak, I had talked to my dad, who is former Oakland PD. So I was like, "Is this illegal?" And he's like, "Nope. All they can tell you to do is take it down." And I was like, Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and use your word right there.
Hell yes. No, that's cool, man. It's really awesome to see and super inspiring. And it's something that I hope is more prevalent around the world is, I'm so jealous of these parkour parks we see all over Europe that are just absolutely amazing resources for the community and for kids, let alone even for adults like ourselves to have a place to go that's, a safe confine without getting kicked out.
Exactly, exactly. That was my hope, man. I was really trying to give something, to the neighborhood, to people that don't get. I mean, if you come to Pittsburgh, you're gonna see. I mean, we don't have like all of like the big, nice, extravagant parks that exist in the more affluent areas. And I was trying to bring something to the space where I know that these kids out here can't just go and drop all their money on a membership and can't travel like out to Concord or Sacramento or wherever there is a gym space so easily. So I wanted to like put something in the space, but I also wanted to put something in the space, and I thought this was kind of perfect. The pandemic closed all the gyms, which is like I understand, obviously, like stopping the viral spread, but giving an outdoor space where people can still pursue fitness is something important, and then setting a precedent for people, especially in underprivileged communities, which usually have the largest health disparities. Like creating a free space that is specifically designed to further your health. It can further your athletic ability, but you can do pull-ups, box jumps, push-ups. Like you can utilize the space for so many different things, and creating the infrastructure for that kind of culture should be built in these communities. I mean, it's huge, and it's also a good way to like start to bring people to these spaces and see that there's humans here. You know what I mean? This isn't just the ghetto. These are people here. So I had a lot of ideas that I thought would be super helpful. From youth to older aged, from super privileged to very underprivileged people. Cross pollinating and creating a more positive culture. So I mean, I still think that it's a huge asset and avenue that we should be like shooting for. So I'm gonna keep doing it. Squad's gonna keep doing it for sure, and hopefully we inspire more and more people. I've gotten so many messages from people saying like, you inspired me to like do this, to make my own build out, to talk to my city and see if we can get this popped up here or whatever. Like you guys inspired us to do this. So I'm hoping more people do it, because it's it's kind of like the best way to get seen and get in contact and get in touch and show them that like you're passionate about your community and you have something to offer.
I'm super looking forward to seeing what comes of this project, man. And like you said, hopefully it continues to inspire others. But I'm super anxious to see what happens over the course of the next few years and in the near future with that. And along the lines of projects that you undertake, one of the ones that we have been able to actually see already come to fruition would be the Night Project, which for those that don't know is something that you formulated around 4 years ago. And it was supposed to consist of like a 6 video part series. And so can you just let people know what inspired that and what was, I guess basically the inspiration behind that series and what led to where you're at today?
Well, the Night Project was initially supposed to be like so like the reason why I called it the Night Project is because like knights have to go through so much to become knights, if they're not just noblemen who were born into knighthood, obviously, but like if you're really to become like a real knight, like you or just like a warrior in any society, like you have to go through some extreme like trials to be able to get to that point, of that level. That's like you're the ultimate protector, the ultimate warrior. You're like the ultimate everything. You're a hero to your people. So the Night Project to me was in part my own roadmap for getting myself to the athletic level I wanted to get to. So that's where that's like the movement aspect of things. Like I really, really wanted to see, can I do this Black Panther thing? Can I do this Batman thing? Can I do this Spider-Man thing? Like, can I make this real? Because it hadn't been seen. I mean, the closest thing I think we got to seeing it like real was Danny Ilabaka. And I just wanted to see, like, is it possible to make this level of performance, this style of movement, a real thing? So like that was like the movement aspect of it, and then like the deeper meaning of it was very much to show the beauty of like Black culture. I have been told, I'm sure you've heard this, but I have been told numerous times my whole life, from when I left Pittsburgh and moved to Brentwood, majority white neighborhood, right? That like hip hop is just, like it's ignorant, it's uneducated, it's, like it's not music, it's not appropriate, it's not acceptable. Like, all of this bullshit about like the culture that was born from oppression. I mean, that's what it is. So I just wanted to, like, not only utilize the Night Project and all of my films to really highlight the immense genius and representation of this music and this culture, but also to learn more about it myself. So like, it wasn't just like I'm going to take on this project series and just give everybody what I already know. Like, no, this is not only a project series, for everybody else's entertainment and education. It's my education too. So over this last, I started the Night Project in 2016. I started formulating the Night Project like right at the beginning of 2016. And I had like these grandiose ideas of what I was going to try to bring to the forefront with this project series. And I thought it was going to be done in like a year or two, maybe. And look where we're at now, 2021. Got one more project under the belt, like, that I need to get. But yeah, I mean, through all of that time, I mean, I was just really, really studying my history, Black people's history in general, and everything that I wasn't taught in school. And I was really, really studying the art forms that seemed to resonate with me so much. Like, like, why do these certain stories resonate with me so much? Why do these lyrics resonate with me so much? And this last few years has just been me kind of, going through exactly what the Night Project is meant to do, which is, progress me to my best level, my best self. And it's been like very imperative to my education and understanding of what I didn't learn in school and why I didn't learn it in school, and why our culture is so often demonized or vilified, in like mainstream media and in all of these societally acceptable spaces. It's the constant affront on just like anything that's not white or white culture, right? Like, or anything that's not acceptable, right? It can be monetized by white culture, but it can't be like societally acceptable. It's not art, it's not genius, but they're making billions of dollars off of it, right? So my entire goal with this was to, just pay mad homage to the culture that raised me, show the genius and the artistry, and show it in a way that maybe it hasn't been seen before. You know what I mean? Show it in like beautiful ways that hadn't been experienced. Show what it inspires me to do. Like this music moves me. My people's history really, really moves me and dedicates me to my craft and to mastering it and to being one of the best in the whole realm. Like bringing my culture into spaces that inspire it, and that my culture inspires. My culture inspires comic books like all the time, but we have like not enough representation in comics. So I'm finding all of the stories and everything. Like, I had been reading Black Panther forever, so that wasn't new to me. I knew about Falcon, like for forever, and like Black Lightning and other heroes like that. Like I've known about them, Static Shock, all that, known about them forever. But it's like that's five I can name. I can name to you like over a hundred, white characters. And even funny enough, even Asian characters that should be Asian that aren't, like Iron Fist, copped straight from Bruce Lee. So I'm what I was really trying to accomplish with this project series, and it's evolved as time has gone on. What I've been really trying to accomplish is like showing how many spaces we should exist in, we can exist in. And showing the beauty of our culture and just being an inspiration to not only Black culture, but all oppressed cultures, like all oppressed cultures, Indigenous, Asian, Latinx, like LGBTQ, like as many people as I can just say, with this planned series and with the open-mindedness to allow it to evolve, I've been able to build this much of myself and my knowledge and my understanding and my power to act on all of this and mobilize this art and information to actually inspire real change. Like I did this, coming from what I came from, specifically to show everybody like that anybody can do the exact same thing. Like go back to 2016, watch what I was doing then and watch where I'm at now. You know what I mean? Like this was all just detailed, intricate planning with the open heart and open mind to allow it to evolve. And that's what got me to this far. And I can't believe it's taken so long, but I also can't believe the level that we've reached. So one more film to drop for the Night Project, and then we'll see where we're at.
Dude, and this is probably a very unfair question, so I almost feel bad asking it, but I'm going to ask it, and I'll also give my answer to take some pressure off. Of the 5 or of the projects released thus far, is there one that is your favorite, one that you're most proud of? And just to kind of take a little pressure off and be fair, I will say that one of my favorite ones that I still go back and watch is Bane.
Yeah. I mean, right now my favorite is Trials Morales, because I feel like it's the first time that I've actually been able to like perfectly execute my vision. Like I think 16 Bars was really close. 16 Bars was, after all the years that I had been doing projects, 16 Bars was the first project that I felt truly proud of. Like I was proud of Trials 1, but that wasn't just my project. That was me and JT. But I was proud of how that one came together. But 16 Bars was the first one that I was like truly proud of. And Bane was essentially like the precursor to Trials Morales in terms of like the direction that I was trying to take us in, like creatively. We had done this series of projects called The Crucible with Storm and Modus, like just specifically like Tim Champion, Ed Scott, Joe Hendo, and George McGowan. And that was like the first test to see if something like Bane could work. So like, just to give some background on Bane, just a brief background on Bane. Bane is actually the first project that I conceptualized in the Night Project. But I knew it couldn't be the first project that I did, because it was supposed to be like the hardest one. I really pushed every aspect of Bane as much as I could. I mean, I didn't skip out on the training, like on the physical preparation. I didn't skip out on the actual like challenges. I mean, I made outlandish, like just, I don't think that this can be completed, but if it could be completed, what do I need to do to get there is my idea, and how hard do I need to go to accomplish it. And, the thing I wanted to do with that was I wanted to put an impossible challenge in front of myself and like completely document the process of trying to complete said challenge. So my now girlfriend, Mel, is our B-cam operator, and she's like basically the person, we always call her the emotion. So like she's the person who's filming all the time. She's filming like everything. She's got all the reactions. There's like essential like hours upon hours of dialogue that has not been seen yet. But like, you know, she filmed the whole process, and that's what brought like Bane to the forefront, you know, and made it the first project in the Night series that would essentially set the precedent for the last few films in the Night project. So if you watch Bane and then you watch Trials Morales, you'll see what we were trying to do with Bane that taught us almost everything that we needed to know to get to Trials Morales. But like for me, the personal favorite at the moment is Trials Morales, because it is the first time that we've been able to bring that vision to life, like actually better than I envisioned.
Okay. Hell yes. That's cool, man. Trials Morales is super cool, like I said at the top of the episode, for anyone that hasn't had the chance to watch it. I really love the integration of, you know, people like Nipsey in there, and obviously making it a project that speaks on a lot more than just actual movement, but social justice and just, you know, issues that need to be expressed. And I think that is something that obviously you haven't shied away from, especially in the climate that we live in socially and politically, especially over the last year specifically. And I just wanted to ask that obviously you are very, very outspoken and wear your emotions on your sleeve and are not shy about expressing your opinions on your platforms, which I'm a huge supporter of. And I just wanted to know if you ever felt like you got pushback from the community in any sense of the way. And obviously I don't think that you give a shit regardless, but just wanted to see if you felt like you felt any resistance that you probably weren't expecting maybe.
Yeah, I mean, so I've been speaking on these things for years. Like I've been speaking on like these issues for years. I mean, you know, like I said, you know, growing up here in Pittsburgh, moving out to Brentwood, and being told I'm from the ghetto, I'm from the hood. Like, I would never go there. Like hearing things like that, what it did to me was it shut me off from even like accepting like my blackness, you know what I mean? Like I am, but also like I'm American, you know what I mean? Like I'm just as American as anybody else. So like I was really pushing for that, and I was pushing to not have to be recognized as a black person first. I just wanted to be Darryl first, right? But that's just not the way that the world has allowed it to be. So you know, once I really came to terms with that, which I'd probably say happened around age 23, I just started to explore it and just, you know, like start being outspoken. I mean, I had never had much of a problem being outspoken before, but on this type of a topic where the world, you know, makes you feel so much like you can't talk about it. I mean, you know, I feel like it's not a uniquely black thing that, you know, our race gets stigmatized, and you know, like seeing issues that are actually racist is somehow political when it's really like a human rights violation. I mean, it's not super specific to blackness, but it seems so weaponized against black people. Like I can't say something's racist, you know what I mean? Like, because anytime I say something's racist, it's like, oh, pulling out the race card again, you know what I mean? But I was just like, no, I mean, it fucking is. It is. So you can tell me that it's not all you want, but the issue is it is, and there's more than enough factual information out there and history that proves it than there is that denies it. You know what I mean? So I just, you know, over the last few years, I've just been speaking about it and saying what's honest, and my personal experience and the experience of other people in my community, and the experience of people in multiple different oppressed communities. You know what I mean? Like, just to express, like, like, not only is this a big issue for me as a black person, this is a big issue for Travis as an Asian American. This is a big issue for you know, my girlfriend as a you know, Latinx individual, like, you know, my best friend Armando, like, you know, son of immigrants, you know. So it's like, this is an issue for all of us. I'm not going to not speak about it just because it makes some people uncomfortable, especially when it's not happening to them, but it's happening to us. And, you know, those people don't get to dictate, you know, what suffering we get to express as suffering and what we don't. That's not anybody's position other than our own to decide whether or not we want to do that. And I did get a lot more pushback from the community than I was personally expecting. I had already gotten that kind of pushback in personal conversations, even from super close friends. Just, you know, man, I'm sure you know, because I'm sure you've experienced similar things. The things I have heard and the things I've been called by people that I considered friends, it is kind of astounding. I mean, like, if it were caught on video, these people would be all over the internet outed as racists. Yeah. Like, and, you know, these aren't things that I just, like, outright, like, speak about, just calling out this athlete, that athlete, this person in the community, that person in the community. That's not really what it's about to me in particular, unless somebody on a public platform is saying something, and that's when I don't have any problem calling you out then. But if it happens in private, you know, I'm going to keep my distance, and I'm going to be mindful about, you know, I'm not going to share your stuff. Like, I'm not going to share your stuff around because I know who you are, like, personally. So, and I don't want to give any more shine to your name, than you deserve. But yeah, man, I mean, the thing that surprised me after all of this time kind of learning to accept that I don't have to accept, you know, if one of my quote unquote friends in the community does or says something, you know, that is racist or is insensitive to the struggle or is you know, tries to invalidate the struggle. I've had people who are still my friends today try to invalidate where I'm from. You know what I mean? Well, they've only been here once. They've only seen what it's like right now where I live right now, but they didn't go to the other side of the train tracks, you know. And anybody who's from a community like mine knows what it means when you say the other side of the train track. Like, you know, they don't see that, they don't know that. They hear me speak. They think that they know where I'm from because they've been to the town that I used to, like, live in, that I went to, you know, middle school and high school in, like, you know, but they don't know that the entire time I was going to school out there, I was still living out here. You know what I mean? Like, they don't know that. They don't know what my brother's history is. They don't know what my, you know, grandma's brother's history is, what my cousin's history is, you know, like, they don't know those things. So, you know, learning that I don't have to accept their own internalized racism, you know what I mean, was a big, you know, tool that I used to speak out more. And when I say I was surprised at the pushback, I was surprised at this so-called enlightened, inclusive, you know, it's for everybody community just continually invalidating, you know, the experience that many of us have, because they don't experience it or they don't see it. And it doesn't take much to say, it doesn't take many eyes to look at the sport to know that this is a vastly majority white sport. So it's not really surprising that would be their response. What's surprising about it is, on one hand, you'll have them talk about, like, you know, like the freedom, the enlightenment, the inclusivity, the we're for everybody. And then literally the same person who has numerous posts up where they're talking about inspiration this and you know, enlightenment that, and like what's good for people, and, you know, like we got to do things to protect the world and blah blah blah. That same person in my comment section is just attempting to invalidate me and invalidate, like, the struggles of women in the sport. You know, like, people are trying to invalidate what's happening in the Asian community right now, like, you know, same people, they're the same people. And to see how far they will go is pretty astounding. How far they'll go on a public platform is pretty astounding. And it's bigger to me that there hasn't been, from larger names in the sport, more pushback against that, like against that level of like racism, invalidation, and you know, like essential just privilege, realistically. So that's been the most, even if that's not surprising, that's probably been the most painful thing that I've had to come to terms with, that a lot of people feel like they have to come to terms with in the community. But I'm not too accepting of it personally.
Yeah, no, I really commend the stance that you've taken, because you have a very strong and firm one. And like I said, I think the coolest thing about it is that you've been very unwavering as far as your position on it, despite the fact that obviously you may lose some followers here and there, you may upset some people in the community, but you know, at the root of it, we can all clearly tell like where you stand on these social justice issues. And so, you know, like I said, I really commend you for it. And I think one of the coolest things is that you've been trying to just lead by example, you know, throughout the course and duration of this podcast, and a lot of things we touched on. I can clearly see that from, you know, your formation of Sqvadron, to the way you tried to lead the gym, to, you know, now trying to formulate and create parks for the public and for the youth. And I know that one of the other things that I would love to talk on, and I don't want to skip over, is your involvement in strike movement, and the way that you can continue to inspire, you know, future generations, whether they're of your descent or, you know, from your ethnicity or origins, for anyone. But I think it's just cool to see someone like yourself continuing to push himself physically and athletically, but also in like an entrepreneurship aspect as well, and really trying to set yourself up for the future. So you obviously spoke about how you kind of got involved as far as having some ownership in that, but what is your involvement with Strike Movement, and what do you do to continue to help build the brand and push the company and develop the shoes and footwear and lines that you guys have?
Well, fortunately, with Strike Movement, you know, we got the dude that started it all, Mark Morissette, and he is, you know when people say, like, you know, out of every 10 people you meet, one person is going to be super legit, like, you know, like you make 10 friends and one of them is going to stick with you when, like, you know, shit hits the fan, right? Yeah. Mark is that kind of guy. Like, you know, he's not the only one that I have in my life, but he is one of those dudes that, like, you know, he really has good intentions. And I've worked long enough with him to know, like, you know, that he is, you know, as flawed a human as all of us, but as driven a human for good purposes as anybody else could possibly be, you know? So like that opened the door for me. And one of the things that I think Mark did that a lot of people need to be open to doing is he was open to listening. You know, he knows he made the whole thing. He knows that he is, like, you know, essentially the reason that the company is successful. You know what I mean? Like, he's aware of that, but he also knows that the other aspects that make the company successful are the people that are involved, right? Like, I mean, you know, you can have a great idea, a super sick product and all that stuff, but if it doesn't mean shit, and if it doesn't, like, reach people, and if it doesn't represent people, then what is it really accomplishing? You know what I mean? Like, what can it really do to help anyone? And that's the thing that he's been open about, and that's actually what gave me the gateway to ownership. You know, I expressed it early on, you know, that I wanted to be an owner of this brand. And he said, okay, well, we're going to continue to talk about that and figure out what that looks like for you down the line. You know what I mean? And years later, we've had conversations about it every single year. And then, you know, like a couple of years ago, he was like, okay, like, you know, here's the share contract. Here's the, you know, X, Y, and Z, this and that. And yeah, I just need you to sign it and send it back to me. And I was like, oh shit. So you just did it. All right, cool. I'm not mad about that. But yeah, I mean, you know, that got me to there. And, you know, this entire time, I mean, that I've been with Strike, all I've been doing is essentially working to advocate for the product and the business, not just the product, like, but like the brand and what it means. You know, it really, really means something. It's very, it's not about just like we're making shoes to make money. Like we're trying to make like significant change. We're trying to do what we believe like Nike and Adidas and those other companies should be doing with their capital and with their brands, like on a larger scale. Like that's our goal. Even if it means like we're not going to just walk out of this thing being, multi-billionaires. Like if we can have a multi-billion-dollar business that is actually like putting like, millions to billions of dollars back into, communities and work efforts to actually help improve this world, and then that's what we're going to do. And that's been my focus, is, not only advocating for the product, and advocating for the brand, but actually like working to make them better. So I do a lot with design with Mark. I do a lot of like pressure testing myself. I do a lot of like reviewing of whatever product that we have that's on the market. Okay, this is what we did that's good. This is what we did that I think we could do better. This is what we did that we just shouldn't fucking do anymore. You know what I mean? These are the new areas that we should try to go in that don't necessarily like conflict with the brand identity or what it is that we're trying to accomplish. Like that has been my position essentially. Like I don't know exactly what you would call that, but out of all of the people in the collective of owners, I'm probably the most active when it comes to what does the product do, what does the product look like, and like how are some different ways we can promote the product. Like I've done things for Strike that nobody knows that I've done. Like I've scored advertisements, you know what I mean? Because I have the ear for like music like that. I've like directed certain little ad campaigns that don't even involve me personally. Like I'm not in them. I've made numerous ad campaigns, some that haven't seen the light of day and some that actually like have. But for the most part, like I'm just like an active partner with the main guy. We talk all the time about where we're going, what we're doing, how to make the product better, how to reach communities. I mean, we have conversations about, when George Floyd was murdered, we got on the phone. We had already talked numerous times. I mean, I've told Mark about my history and like why I don't wear bright red all the time, you know what I mean? Or why I can't wear this out there. I got to wear something like most of my clothes are black, right?
Yeah.
Like
neutral.
Yeah, exactly. And he and I have had conversations about that. We've talked about, well, where can we go? Like, what can we do? Like, can I wear the red bottom shoes? You know what I mean? That's like, I made that shoe popular. Can I wear that shoe everywhere? We've had those conversations. We've talked about things like that. So it's not really new when something like, what happened to George Floyd or Breonna Taylor, like happens, we get on the phone and we talk about it. We don't talk about like, oh, what can we do with the brand during this time? We talk about what can the brand say at this time that matters to the community, not advertising the brand, just what can we say to express like we are here. I mean, we've been in this fight forever. We've been donating to the ACLU. We've been bringing up awareness about these types of issues and stuff within our types of communities and things. Like we've been doing that. How do we continue to be advocates and allies? And do we push product right now? No, we don't push product right now. You know what I mean? Like we don't even talk about it right now. If there's a way to push product that actually helps, then we do that. You know what I mean? Representation wise, we do that, so let's get on and let's get it done. The same thing happened, in recent events, shit pops up, there's a massive spike in like anti-Asian hate crimes. Like we're on the phone talking about like what is wrong with these people and this place and these systems and what can we do to help? And, that's a lot of my role within Strike, as well as all of the actual like brand specific, product specific stuff. Like that's one of the areas in which I do a lot of work. It's just to make sure that when we're doing something or when we have something to say, that it matters, especially to the people who we know are not getting the fair treatment that they deserve. You know what I mean? So like I'm all in there from like all those aspects.
Hell yeah, dude. And like I said, it's super cool to see you in a position of that. And more than anything, it's just cool to have other parts of the community that didn't exist, 10 years ago, to see companies releasing stuff actually geared towards our community specifically and made for, by, and, with the intention of further progressing our community is something rare. So hopefully people listen to this, and maybe if they didn't know your involvement in it, will just go support it just for the sake of supporting someone in our own community. And, hopefully that'll continue to push the brand and help you. And along the lines of, Trials Morales coming out, and obviously you mentioning that you have one last major project coming, I think a major question a lot of people would want to know is, how many days a week do you physically train, and how much time are you still putting into your craft at this point to release videos like this?
Well, since Trials Morales, I haven't actually been training that much, like since we finished it. I mean, we completed movement. I think we went back and did one reshoot like maybe 3 weeks ago. Only because we did a shoot in one wardrobe, and like as the project continued to evolve, the wardrobe got to this. So I had, in that final section, I had one clip that was not in one of the Trials Morales hoodies, and I went back to redo it. But the only reason I got to go back and redo it is because I was filming the BART train. I was there by myself, which I never usually go anywhere by myself, for reasons that I'm assuming most people can understand. But I ain't trying to be caught out with a bunch of camera equipment and any issue pops up. So usually I got my team with me, but I was like, okay, I'm just going to film the trains. I should be okay. So I'm filming the BART train, and I go down the stairs to get another shot, and I'm like hoping that there aren't cars in the parking lot, because there used to not be cars in the parking lot. We went back to reshoot it once. The whole parking lot was full of cars, so I couldn't redo the climb. And I went down there this last time, I have the project on my computer. I'm like so close to finishing everything. And I'm just like, man, I guess I have to fucking deal with this one clip, And as soon as I see there's no cars in the parking lot, I call my team. I'm like, yo, tomorrow we're here. Tomorrow morning, I'm redoing the climb. And that was after, I think, 2 weeks of believing I was finished with the film. So I was already in my decompression mode. I went back out. Fortunately, I'm fit, I'm healthy. So, it wasn't a problem. I actually ended up doing it way faster than I did it the first time. I'm talking stupid faster. I'm over the top of the wall before I'm even up to 3/4 of the way in the previous one. So yeah, it's quicker, but since then, I haven't been really doing much training. I've just been on the decompression and rest, because I put a whole year into Trials Morales. It was at least 4 days a week, sometimes more than that. That we were going out and filming, and that's also between the physical preparedness kind of training that I was doing before that. So with weights, usually leading up to a project, weight work and resistance work and actual conditioning in particular, I typically do 2 to 3 days a week of that in particular. And then, on those same days, there's some level of parkour practice, whether it just be technical refinement, or on the other days where I'm actually trying to push the level of my capability. So I'd probably say I spend at least 5 days a week, 4 to 5 days a week training, actually trying to prepare, and performance in between those days, depending on what opportunities I find. But yeah, so I train pretty hard and pretty diligently for things like this. And once I finish a project is usually when I get to decompress. I did the same thing from Bane to the start of Trials Morales and the other projects that I had done between filming Trials Morales. During projects, I'd probably say depending on how long the project takes and depending on what exactly the movement is, I lower my actual like conditioning.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because that's a good way to get wiped out. It's best to condition to get yourself to the level to be able to perform, and then make sure to continually do maintenance work while performing, so that you're not like, you know, overworking yourself, because we already do so much overworking of ourselves. You know, don't want to do that during a project like Trials Morales, and then find out when I'm 3 stories up that I don't have the power for something. You know what I mean? So like that's about how I train, how I get my stuff done.
Okay. And for someone that spends so much time dedicated and focused on your own personal projects, you know, after putting a year into Trials Morales, you know, in itself, is there anyone that you still watch in the community, and do you find time enough to stay up to date with what's going on?
I mean, I watch a lot of what Renee is doing with Origins. I just like to see where he's going with a lot of that stuff. Winston's video that just came out, like his film that just came out, Controlled Descent, super sick. I've been like having that on repeat quite a lot. Nate also had just dropped a film a couple months back, Skull Chatter, which was also like phenomenal. That one's been on the rewatch numerous times. The Kippa guys, like Joel Larson and Kevin Franzen and those homies out there. I've been watching a lot of them. But I mean, yeah, that's mostly where my head is at from like watching parkour projects. I mean, you know, I peep the Stora videos from time to time. I'm not the largest fan of like the vlog style. So, but if they have like you know, sometimes they drop some where they're doing a lot of like actual like work. So I like to see that too. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, yeah, I think it's mainly been the Kippa guys, like I said, Winston's recent film, and like Nate and just keeping up with whatever anybody's doing. Most people are making Instagram stuff right now. So like I watch a lot of Ed. I watch Ed Scott a lot. Yeah, I brought Ed into Strike like early last year as well. So like he's been doing a lot of great work with us there. I try to keep up on everything that Tim Champion's doing. Genji is huge. If people are not following Genji, they need to follow Genji, because Genji legit created like the style that so many people are like trying to do right now, and he's like not even getting the praise for it. But I watch a lot of what Genji's doing. Yeah, I mean, like I just try to stay up to date on anybody. Instagram wise, I mean, there's a lot of people I watch. Miranda Tibling, she's super sick. And Lisa Schneider out in Austria right now, she's killing it. Like I'm just trying to pay attention to people like who are putting in daily work or on the come up or whatever, you know.
Oh yeah, no, I totally understand it. It's such a unique time in our sport, where before it was a complete sample culture where you would wait months and months on end for these samplers or collaborative group ones, and now it's like you could go on Instagram and you're saturated with content, literally just overflowing every day. But yeah, man, and with that being said, dude, I'm really interested to hear what your answer is going to be on this one. It's one of the questions I asked before we get out of here, and I'm curious with what you're going to say. So where do you personally see yourself 5 years from now, and where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
Well, I've had this conversation with my team a few times, that like I think I want to do this, like what it is that like I'm trying to kind of bring forth with like the films and stuff, and like, you know, like the athletic aspect. I think I want to do this at this level for like maybe another 10 years. If I can like squeeze it out, that'd be sick. I'd like to have like a Kobe-esque kind of like career. I mean, you know, I really want to utilize all of my resources to get just real deep in you know, communities like the one that I came from, you know what I mean, like here in Pittsburgh. Like I really want to provide the opportunities and like the knowledge that I've gained from pursuing parkour. I mean, like from pursuing parkour, I've become a filmmaker, a spatial designer, like, a director, like graphic artist, like shoe designer, like, clothing designer, art and apparel, stuff like that. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that I've learned like through pursuing this sport. And I would love to share that more with the communities that legitimately inspire this culture. You know what I mean? Like I want to like give it back, because it's not being given back. So my next however many years, 5 to 10 years, it's just going to be about like trying to provide as many opportunities with all of the knowledge that I have, and all of the resources that I have through Strike, through Sqvadron, to be able to provide those types of spaces to these communities. Like one of the things I really, really want to do, I do have a new gym space that I like have in mind, but I'm gonna wait until that's like actually a viable option, and where people can go there more freely and don't have to worry about this virus. And until then, I'm mainly focused on trying to get as many of these park spaces created as possible, and trying to educate people on things like filmmaking and design and things like that, from spatial design to actual like clothing and like, visual design in general. Like I'm going to try to educate people through as many like, safe or remote spaces as I can for the time being. But I would love to get like a full-on compound where we could like, teach cinematography, photography, editing, and, graphic design, and also have like the physical training space, for parkour specific, movement sports in general. But like, I'm a parkour specialist, so like, give people that access, and hopefully utilize it as a space of secondary education to bolster education in communities like mine. So that's my hope. That's my goal over the next however many years it'll take me to get it done. 5 to 10, maybe less than 5. We killed our 5-year plan in Sqvadron. Like we killed it by far. So I feel like it's only exponential, so it's only going to go higher, faster. So that's my goal right now. That's my wish.
Hell yeah, man. Well, I'm super anxious and curious to follow the journey and see where it takes you. And obviously, you've accomplished so much already that we discussed here, but obviously, huge plans for the future, and not only for yourself, but to benefit the greater community as a whole. So, with that being said, can you let people know like where they can continue to follow you and stay up to date with everything you have going on, as well as Sqvadron?
Yeah, I mean, you guys can follow me on Instagram at IamWavezilla. You guys can follow Sqvadron on Instagram. It's at Sqvadron with a V, not a U, because we very tight. Yeah, I mean, you guys can head over to our website. It's www.forthesquad.com. That is for the number 4 THASQVAD.com. Yeah, I mean, just like go through those channels, find all of our athletes and collaborators, and click through and follow the journey. You guys can follow Strike Movement at Instagram, like, Strike, spelled like Strike _ MVMNT, and strikemovement.com is where you guys can get in on the flyest footwear in the game right now. So yeah, follow the journey. Peep us on YouTube, the legendary Sqvadron, and just like see what we're doing, because regardless of what eyes we do have on us, we're making moves, and we're actually like making some real good progress. So you guys are gonna see it some way, somehow, whether you see it pop up in your community, like the effects of what it is that we're trying to create, or you actually watch the journey with us. You guys will be able to see it.
Definitely. Guys, please be sure to head on over and check out everything that Darryl's got going on between himself and his companies. With that being said, please be sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe for brand new episodes each and every week. Join us every Monday for Jam Breakdowns and every Friday for brand new JAMCast, interviewing influential members of the movement community like Mr. Darryl Stingley himself. So with that being said, guys, I got to give one more very special shout out. Yo, thanks for coming through, man. I really appreciate your time and being able to talk to you at length about a lot of these topics I've always wanted to discuss.
Yeah, man, it was an honor and a privilege to be here. I really appreciate the opportunity and the platform. Thank you.
Hell yes, guys. And as always, coming through, I'm your host, Travis Wong. Thanks for joining us here on another JAMCast. Until next time, we'll see you all soon. Peace.